Everyone, this is Shirley Solis with ShirleySolis.com, and today I want to talk to you about the 5 steps to resolving a conflict with your spouse. Now, I wish I could tell you that marriage is always pretty and wonderful and there are never any arguments, but you and I both know that's not true because we're both two different people and there's always going to be challenges and differences. Now I do have to tell you, if the norm is conflict and challenges, then that's a problem because that's the way Gus and I used to be. But now, thank God, the norm is there are not that many conflicts and challenges. Really, I would say 98% of the time we really get along. We have a great relationship, but we've worked really hard to get to where we are right now. Because if you guys know our story, you know that at one point in our marriage, we almost got a divorce. And on top of that, we were really bad at communicating with each other. So today, we've worked so hard that we communicate fairly well, that we express with each other. But we just so happened to be that the other day, we had one of those weekends that just, I think he was struggling with something. And in his struggle with, just thoughts or whatever, challenges that he was facing, he wasn't being too nice. So I was very good about approaching him and speaking with him about it. And in that process, I thought, wait a second, there's a 5-step process of how people should do this approaching a conflict with their spouse. So I wanted to share that with you because I think you might find it very beneficial. So here we are. Point number 1 is give yourself value. When I interacted with Gus, I first had to the first thing I had to do was realize that I'm a person of value and that I needed to value myself. And because if I'm approaching a conflict knowing that I have value, then I'm going to make sure that I respect myself and that the other person is going to respect me because I carry myself in a way that's not saying bad words, I'm not screaming, I'm valuing who I am as a person. And truly, I am a queen, and queens don't yell, queens are calm, and I value myself as a woman of worth. Then point number 2 is you also have to, once you realize that you have value, you have to give your spouse value, because this isn't oh, I'm so amazing and you suck. It's really well, I have value and you have value too, and the actions that are happening right now are not actions worthy of the value that you have. So if you really value your spouse and you approach your spouse from that point of view of you have value, I think your spouse is going to receive what you have to say in a much more open way. And this is exactly what happened between Gus and I. He received what I had to say in a much better way because we had, I was expressing that he has value. And then I know that really lifts up the conversation when you express that way. Point number 3 is you have to express how you feel. And that's what I did with Gus. I was expressing how I feel, how I was feeling, my emotions. I was telling him, look, I'm sad that you're behaving this way. It wasn't anything huge, but it was definitely not the norm of the level of connection that we're used to having. So I could tell he was a little bit distant. Honestly, the majority of women, if they would have had a view into what was going on, they would think, oh my gosh, you're exaggerating. But we've gotten used to such a great relationship that what was going on this weekend was not cool. So I approached him and I said, what's going on is really making me a little bit sad. What you said was not the nicest thing, this comment. And I said, and I love to be connected with you. I love to be interacting with you. I love to know what you're thinking. And right now I'm not feeling that way. So I'm feeling a little bit sad. I'm feeling like maybe what you said was not the most honoring thing to me. And so it's expressing how you feel. And then point number 4 is appeal for what you'd like to see. So in this case, I had to appeal to Gus and say, what I'd like to see is this. Because after all, he's thinking that he's okay. He actually couldn't see that he had done anything wrong. So I had to say, well, what I'd like to see is this. This is the appeal that I'd like. This is how I would feel like you're connecting, or maybe I expect you to say I'm sorry, or I already had forgiven him, by the way, because you don't forgive someone when they apologize. You forgive them before they apologize, because that's your part, just forgiving. And I had already had forgiven him, but I know that I need a closure, and I needed him to come up to me and just say, oh, I'm really sorry for that, whatever. So I said, this is what I'd like to see. I'd like to see that we're connected again. I'd like to see that there's closure for this situation, and I'd like to see that we're okay, that we have a communication for this. So I expressed what I was, the outcome of, of this conflict. I knew what I wanted to see. And then point number 5 is ask for closure. Because even though I had these expectations of this is what I'd like to see, you need to understand that you need closure for the situation. And the truth is, for a woman specifically, it's very important to have closure. Sometimes you might make a statement to the man, to your spouse, and he may just be like, okay, I heard you. But that doesn't necessarily bring closure to us. So you need to know how he needs to behave, or what does he need to do to help you bring closure. Maybe it's, I'm not feeling loved right now, so could you just say you love me and give me a hug? Or, crazy stuff, whatever it is, but you need to know what you need. And then at the same time, specifically in one of the discussions we had this weekend, Gus wasn't really ready to have closure. I was ready to have closure, but he wasn't ready. So what I did instead is I said, well, I understand that you're not ready to have closure right now, and I want to honor you in your timing. So I just want you to know that I need closure. So whenever you're ready, can you come back, and when you're ready to talk, we can talk about it and kind of, have closure to this situation, and then we'll be all good. So he knew I had shared what my expectations were, my healthy expectations to resolving this conflict. I let him know, and I told him that I needed closure, because even though we were talking about it, the way things were being communicated wasn't the best way, in a way that I felt loved and fully connected. So the way I expected closure was for him to follow up with me when he felt comfortable about connecting again and having closure. So those are the 5 steps. It's give yourself value whenever you're in conflict. Give the other person value, because they're certainly worthy of it. 3rd, express how you feel in a way that's not pointing fingers to the other person, but just really sharing your emotions. This is how I'm feeling, being vulnerable and open about the situation. 4th, appealing for what you'd like to see. And then 5, asking for closure if you need it, which most of us usually do, and it's a good idea, so we don't leave things kind of dangling. So anyway, I hope that you really benefit from that. If you think anybody that you know could benefit from this video, then please go ahead and share it. Make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel, and of course I'm available and connected on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter. Of course, you can visit my website, shirleysolis.com. That's SOLIS.com. And I've had a pretty long day, so I'm gonna go to bed now, and I wish you the best. All right, take care. Bye.